Disclaimer: the following narrative is based on open source reports and public claims.
In every major war, there is always one group that operates in the darkest zone. They are not regular soldiers, and they are not civilians. They come from different countries, carrying weapons, combat experience, and contracts that are rarely made public. In the Ukraine war, that group is foreign mercenaries. And for Russia, they are not just ordinary enemies, they are priority targets. In this video, we will examine why Russia is conducting a relentless hunt against mercenaries, what strategic interests lie behind it, and why Ukraine appears willing to keep risking them despite the enormous consequences. This is not just a story about weapons and battles, but about legal status, political messaging, and the high cost of decisions in modern warfare. Since the early stages of the conflict, Ukraine opened its doors to foreign fighters. They were promoted as part of what became known as the International Legion. The narrative was simple: the free world standing together to help Ukraine resist Russia. But behind that narrative, the reality on the battlefield is far more complex. Many of these fighters are not purely volunteers, but paid combatants. Their contracts vary, their backgrounds differ, and their loyalty often depends on payment and mission length. From Russia's perspective, this immediately changes their status. They are not seen as regular enemy soldiers, but as illegal combatants operating inside a war zone. This is where the difference in perception begins. Ukraine sees them as force multipliers. Russia sees them as symbols of foreign involvement that must be eliminated as quickly as possible. For Moscow, mercenaries are high-value targets. First, they often bring combat experience from other conflicts, whether in the Middle East, Africa, or Afghanistan. Eliminating them means cutting off the transfer of battlefield knowledge that could significantly enhance Ukraine's combat effectiveness. Second, mercenaries frequently operate with, or at least understand, Western weapon systems. Striking them is not only about body count, but about dismantling wider tactical and operational networks. Third, and most importantly, Russia wants to send a message to the West that direct involvement, even in the form of unofficial personnel, will not be tolerated. By prioritizing mercenaries as targets, Russia raises the political cost for countries whose citizens choose to fight in Ukraine. Under international law, mercenaries exist in a gray area. They are not automatically entitled to the same protections as regular soldiers. Russia exploits this legal gap. When a mercenary is captured, their status is often not recognized as that of a standard prisoner of war. Ukraine is fully aware of these risks, yet recruitment continues. Criticism arises when Kyiv appears to deploy mercenaries in the most dangerous sectors, almost treating them as expendable assets. This raises serious ethical questions. Is Ukraine genuinely protecting these fighters, or simply using them to compensate for manpower shortages? On the ground, many mercenaries are positioned on the front lines. They are frequently used as assault units or as holding forces when Russian pressure intensifies. When heavy artillery, kamikaze drones, and precision strikes begin to fall, they are often the most exposed. Russia, supported by intelligence networks and aerial reconnaissance, actively hunts locations believed to host mercenary camps or concentrations. Precision strikes against these targets are designed not only to destroy forces, but to generate a broader psychological impact. Whenever Russia announces a strike of mercenaries, it is rarely accidental. The narrative is carefully constructed. Videos, official statements, and intercepted communications are used to reinforce the message that coming to Ukraine as a foreign fighter is an extremely high-risk decision. The impact is felt back in their home countries. Media outlets raise questions, parliaments apply pressure, and families of the dead demand answers. Ukraine, which initially gained propaganda value from the presence of foreign fighters, now faces political liabilities as casualty numbers grow. This is where criticism of Ukraine becomes unavoidable. Instead of reducing its reliance on mercenaries, Kyiv appears to continue using them as a quick fix. That may work in the short term, but it carries a heavy long-term price. Every mercenary killed or captured creates not just a military loss, but a diplomatic problem. Supporting countries begin to recalculate. Can this level of involvement still be justified to domestic audiences when their citizens return home in coffins? Moreover, the use of mercenaries weakens Ukraine's moral narrative. Russia can easily argue that Ukraine is not merely defending itself, but importing foreign fighters to sustain the war. Tactically, mercenaries can indeed boost combat capability in specific sectors, but that effectiveness comes at a steep cost. Russia deliberately focuses on destroying them, turning every deployment into a high-stakes gamble. The question is whether Ukraine gains enough in return, or is it simply handing Russia ideal targets that allow Moscow to demonstrate military power while reinforcing its anti-intervention narrative. As long as the war continues, the hunt for mercenaries is unlikely to stop. Russia has made it a core element of its long-term strategy. Every foreign fighter who arrives presents Moscow with another opportunity to send a message. For Ukraine, the choices ahead are difficult. Reducing reliance on mercenaries means shouldering a heavier internal mobilization burden. Maintaining their presence, however, means enduring sustained political, legal, and military pressure. The relentless hunt for mercenaries reveals the true nature of modern warfare. It is no longer just about who fires faster or hits harder, but about who controls narratives, legal frameworks, and global perception. Russia has chosen to make mercenaries a symbol of foreign intervention that must be destroyed. Ukraine, meanwhile, must ask itself a hard question. How long can this strategy really be sustained? One thing is certain: so long as mercenaries remain on Ukrainian battlefields, they will not only be fighters, they will continue to be primary targets in an increasingly brutal and uncompromising war.